There are stories whispered under breath, stories too terrifying to say out loud. But in the quiet village of Uka, where laughter once echoed through the hills, one story was not just whispered, it haunted. Uka was a beautiful place. Hidden between green hills and wild rivers, its people lived simply, farming, trading, dancing under the moonlight. Everyone knew everyone, and no secret lasted long. But then, the deaths began. It started slowly. One woman found lifeless near the river. Then another, in her own bed. And another, each with the same mysterious marks on her neck. Like twin fang bites, deep and precise. They looked like the work of a snake, but no one had seen any snakes. No hissing, no slithering, just silence and corpses. Panic gripped the village. Girls were warned not to walk alone. Men formed patrols. The village chief, Obi, sent hunters into the woods. They found nothing. People whispered of curses, of demons, of witches, but never of Chima, because Chima was adored. He wasn't just handsome. He was mesmerizing, towering, strong, with skin dark and flawless, and eyes that sparkled like secrets. His voice could calm a storm. His laughter could melt the coldest heart. When he walked past, women turned. When he smiled, hearts skipped. And Chima knew it. He didn't mourn the women who died. In fact, he barely flinched. He kept living as if death hadn't brushed the village at all. He flirted, he smiled, and he chose, always choosing his next victim with charm, not force. You see, Chima's secret was horrifying. Each time a woman accepted his invitation to his lonely hut, tucked at the edge of the village, he seduced her under the stars. But then, at the height of intimacy, he'd whisper a strange question. Do you know the difference between a man's manhood and a snake? And then, he'd whistle. A soft, eerie melody would fill the room, and from the shadows of his trousers, a black serpent would slither out. Smooth, cold, alive. The women would freeze in terror. And then the snake would strike. The venom worked fast. Within minutes, their bodies lay still. By morning, Chima would drop them quietly in the village square, just like the others. And still, no one knew, not even the chief. Because who would suspect Chima? The builder? The charmer? The man every woman wanted? Then came Adana. She arrived with the wind, tall, graceful, skin like warm bronze, eyes sharp as moonlight. She came claiming to visit her aunt, but her reasons were deeper. She walked with a quiet power, and Chima noticed her immediately. But Adana was different. She didn't blush. She didn't giggle. She didn't even look impressed. She ignored him. That drove Chima mad. He tried, greeted her at the well, helped her carry yams, smiled, complimented, flirted. She remained cold, polite, but distant. What Chima didn't know was that Adana wasn't just another villager. She was a hunter, and he was her prey. Months before, in a nearby village, Adana's best friend Nkem had died. The last person she had spoken about was a new lover, a man who made her feel like a queen. She never said his name, but her voice trembled when she described his charm. 2 weeks later, Nkem was dead. Same marks, same story. Adana's heart broke, but she didn't cry for long. She went to the oracle. The old woman lived in a sacred cave, where incense burned without flames, and mirrors showed things not of this world. Adana knelt and told her everything. The oracle closed her eyes and began to chant. When she opened them, she said, "A cursed one walks among men. His manhood is no man's pride. It is a serpent, born from dark sacrifice, fed by seduction, and it obeys only his whistle." Adana gasped. "Can it be stopped?" she asked. The oracle nodded, reaching into a clay pot. "This flute," she said, handing over a small silver pipe, "is made from the bone of a river goddess. Blow it, and the snake will obey you. But be warned, he must believe you are his. Only then will he let down his guard." So Adana came to Ukka and played her part. She acted cold, then slowly let him in. Step by step, she let him believe she was falling, just like the others. Chima, convinced he had finally cracked her shell, invited her to his hut under a full moon. He lit a lamp, poured her palm wine. His voice was soft, his smile disarming. Then came the question, "Do you know the difference between a man's manhood and a snake?" Adana sipped her wine, silent. Chima whistled. The snake emerged, but Adana was ready. From the folds of her wrapper, she drew the silver flute and blew, a sharp, commanding note that cut the air like lightning. The snake froze. Chima's smile vanished. Adana blew again. The serpent turned, not toward her, but toward him. "What are you doing?" Chima shouted. The snake coiled around his legs, his chest, his throat. Then it bit. Chima gasped, twitched, fell, his eyes wide, lifeless. The snake slithered away into the dark, never to be seen again. By morning, Ukka gathered around Chima's body, now cold, pale, and exposed. His secret? The snake lay dead beside him. And Adana? She stood tall before the villagers, her voice unwavering. "He was not what he seemed," she said. "He killed my friend. He killed your daughters. He lured them with charm and murdered them with poison." Gasps filled the air. Mothers wept. Fathers bowed their heads. The truth, like a storm, had arrived. The handsome builder they once trusted was the monster they feared. From that day, Adana became a legend. Her name, sung by women, praised by elders, remembered by children. As for Chima, his name was never spoken again, except as a warning that sometimes evil wears a smile, that not every man who shines brings light, and that behind the sweetest voice may lie the hiss of a serpent.